Rachael Barbeau, a buddy of mine, and she does great work for Sirius XM, host also, and Gridiron Now, Acme Radio Live. You've got like 8 jobs as always, like the rest of us. Rachel and all of our guests appearing on Miami Sports Radio 560 WQAM appear on the Toyota of Hollywood hotline, where you can get the lowest price today at toyotaofhollywood.com. How are you doing, young lady?
I'm well, my friend. Very good to be on with you.
So what'd you think of the Slugfest, or was it set up?
You know, it's so I was riding up the elevator afterwards, and somebody said, "Did you hear about Feinbaum and Saban?" And I said, "Ooh, I can't wait to hear." And we're approaching another floor, and the door opens as I'm saying this. I can't wait to watch Feinbaum and Saban. There's Feinbaum, and I just smiled at him, and I've known him for years. And so the more I watched it, the more I thought there's really much ado about nothing. And somebody said it yesterday. It is a talk show host doing his job and a coach doing his job, defending his team. And your team here said, and I sort of agree with them, it would not blow my mind to think the whole thing was staged.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. Saban actually brought up a very interesting point in this, and it comes back to us here at the University of Miami, because I don't know if you know about the Mark Walton case, where he might have been even set up by the cops.
Yes,
you read that story?
I have heard a little bit about it, yes.
And so, and now apparently they're going to file a civil lawsuit against the cops now, the attorney and the player, in which I hope they do, because if the cops really were setting up the kid, this was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And so it was an interesting point that Saban did bring up, whether you like Saban or not, and I know in our part of the country we can't stand Saban, okay? South Florida cannot stand Saban, okay? And so they hated when I was lobbing him softballs yesterday, as it is. And so...
Why'd you do that?
Well, because there was nothing else to talk except for the cam, and they told me not to ask that question, and I understood why and all that stuff.
His people.
His people told the Orange Bowl supports. But I can't be a hypocrite. You know why?
Wait a minute.
I had Tannehill 2 years ago at the Super Bowl, and I have a nickname for him that I call him Tanny Kill, because he kills the drive on 3rd and 4th downs. He's injured his players, so I call him Tanny Kill instead of Tannehill. And I wanted to bring up that nickname I have for him, and I was. But then my producer Brandon goes to me, "Hey, Axe Spray gets us Aaron Rodgers, gets us Tannehill every single year. Please don't piss him off, because then I can't get next year's person, whoever comes for Axe." And so I held back that one question out of all of the questions. So I understand when they tell me lay off for the moment. Yeah. And I figured somebody in the writers would ask.
They did.
No, they didn't.
Nobody did. No, in our room. Radio internet room.
Radio asked. Writers did not, and then Feinbaum asked on television. And so it's a question that had to be asked in this building.
Yeah.
So I'm glad Feinbaum asked it. I'm glad the radio people asked it, because that's the one that was the only issue that he has that you got to address, just like Dan Mullen had to address his.
Yeah. Listen, you do have to play the game. And let's be honest, if you want to have future interviews, if that one question is important enough for you to ask, and you have to ask, and you can't sleep and your career depends on it, then go ahead and ask it. But it might be at the expense of future interviews.
Exactly.
And that's the game.
Well,
I've played that game before.
Hold on. Everybody had a chance to ask him that question, including Big O.
No, I don't.
No, you could have gone up to that.
I'm representing the Orange Bowl, Joe.
But you could have gone up to that room and said, "I'm Orlando Alzagari from WQAM.
Joe,
I would like to know."
Joe, I'm the wrong person to even try to challenge me on that. Don't even bring that up with me.
You could have gone up and asked that question.
Don't even bring that up with me.
Okay.
Don't even bring that up with me. Okay?
And nobody chose to ask
that.
him the question.
In the writers' room.
In the
radio room. All the good stuff happens in the radio.
Of them up there.
Honey, everything in the radio, everything good happens in the radio internet room.
In
the 10 years I've been here, because we're kind of outliers. That's who we are. We're a little bit of we're the wild cards.
But let me screw up the French here. In radio, we have more balls than most.
It's called stones, cojones, balls, all
whatever
of it.
It is.
But all these things are always going to be the same every year. It doesn't matter if it's the Southeastern Conference or the ACC or the Big Ten. The discipline issue is going to come up with every coach. Just about every coach.
Well,
almost at every program.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it really only becomes a humongous issue. The only reason it was an issue yesterday, really, I mean, if we're getting down to the brass tacks of it, because Saban went off on Feinbaum. What it distracted from and took away from, which we still should be talking about, is Dan Mullen the day before, which was pathetic.
Exactly.
Absolutely pathetic. And not just because I wrote a piece that went viral on Gridiron Now about my own experiences with domestic violence. And even if I'd had no experiences, I would still have left that room like I did. I was in the room when he gave the well, my family wouldn't be in that situation. And I left that room shaking. I literally had tears in my eyes because I was so angry. And I know him. I've been in his office. I know he's a good husband. I know he's a good father. I've interviewed him one-on-one. I know him. We call each other by our first names. But he really let me down the day before yesterday.
Yeah, and by the way, I was very glad of the media because they took him to task, like they should, on that situation.
Yeah.
And by the way, when I knew I was going to have you on, I wanted to get the woman's perspective from all of this.
I could stay on.
Because we're abusing kids.
Yeah.
We're abusing women. These guys are walking around with guns. It's out of control. And football coaches and schools are selling their souls just to win a football game. And I'm wondering from a woman's perspective, when you see that and you know that there are women being abused all throughout the country in different college campuses, not just by football players, also by regular students. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just wondering from your point of view, Rachel, when you see what's going on, how disgusting do you get with it?
Well, here's the thing: sports has a chance to unify, and sports has a chance to bring cause massive change in our country. And you look at the history of our country and the world, and sports has done that. I mean, you just look at the makeup of a football team: it's black, white, pink, purple, and they all come together in that locker room for a unified goal. We could look at a football team right now as an example. So I'm looking to sports right now to change things, and what I'm proud of people like Mike Riley bringing in women like Brenda Tracy, which he let down many years ago at Oregon State. Now she's going around and speaking at different colleges. I'm proud of Les Miles for starting a sexual harassment class for male athletes and female athletes. That should be at every college. Yes, at every college. I myself, I want to be a part of the solution and not just a talker. So I'm actually developing curriculum with a sports psychologist named Dr. Kevin Elko and an author named Bill Busey. And Dr. Elko, works with Nick Saban and the Cardinals and Chuck Pagano. He's got 19 national championships at the pro level and the collegiate level. And I'm developing a 10-point curriculum to take into high schools to try to get to these young men before they get to college. Because it's my belief that once they get into college, they've already seen it. They've seen mama not there. They've seen daddy not there. They've seen the guns in the neighborhood. They've seen the violence. Everybody's played into them, told them they're gods.
And by the way, the entitlement has grown.
The entitlement is already there. So if we can get to them at a collegiate age and say a couple of different things. One, you may not have seen it at home, but this is how you treat a woman. You respect a woman. If you respect them and you cherish them, they'll respect you. Here's how you balance a checkbook. Here's how you deal with life if you don't get the athletic scholarship. And, oh, by the way, who are you away from the football field? What makes you get up in the morning, and what gives you passion at night? Who are you? Because so many of these, and you see them, pro athletes and collegiate athletes, as soon as they get hurt or they leave the field because they're no longer needed or they leave pro sports, they don't know who they are. They end up, 40% of them, over half, end up broke, addicted to pain pills, alcoholics, divorced. And so we've got to start getting to these young men at a sooner age and try to stave some of this off.
Mark Richt is going to have, during training camp, a variety of speakers to come in on many of those topics. The topic of how to treat women, the guest speaker will be Mark Richt. He is going to handle that subject himself.
I love it.
With his players.
Well, but Mark Richt is cut from a completely different cloth.
And he's great.
He is a weirdo in college football, to be honest with you. And I mean it in the most kindest way. That
he's old school.
Yeah.
He is old school, dyed in the wool.
People are not cut like that, especially in this business.
No.
They're just not, because he's not the guy that's going to sacrifice a human being just to win a football game.
Yeah.
And we need more like
yes,
Mark
we do.
Richt.
Yes, we do.
Rachel, this was awesome. I appreciate it. We'll get you on during the season on the show.
Let's
and have
do
a little
that.
Fun.
And I'll update you on that curriculum. Maybe I'll be down in Miami teaching that to some high schools for you. Now, the ultimate goal is to eventually teach it to, it's very simple, to teach it to athletes, let them take it back to their own high schools and coaches, and let it take it back to their own high schools, so that it's not just me going around teaching it as a female sportscaster who's made it to an extent. it's their own peers, their own people they look up to and saying, hey, this is what you do. Really simple stuff here. But people aren't getting it. They're not getting in their homes. So we're turning out entitled young jerks that are violent against women, that think they can take what they want and have control, and they're ruining their own lives and other people's lives.
Yeah, no doubt. Great stuff there. Follow her on Twitter, by the way, at Rachael Barbeau, and catch her also on Sirius XM. What channel is it?
84, College Sports Nation.
There you go. I just picked up Sirius, so
I
will be listening. Thank you, Rachael.
Thank you.